Hello and welcome to the Extra Mile. I'm Linda BOUDREAUX. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and to talk about breast cancer and some of the activities and events that are going on during October are Martha Salterman, who is a breast cancer survivor, and Stella Guidry, who is a breast cancer survivor supporter and an awareness supporter and an all-around volunteer, I'd say. So welcome both of you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And let me begin by thanking you for all the work that you do on behalf of all those individuals who are affected by breast cancer, men and women and families, because it isn't just the person that has a diagnosis, it's everyone that loves her and cares about her.
Disease.
It is indeed, it is. So
Definitely.
welcome both of you. I guess the kickoff, well, let's start with you, Martha, is
Okay.
I know we have the symposium coming up, but before we get into the symposium, you're a survivor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so give us a little bit of your story. What is it like to be a survivor?
Well, I was diagnosed almost 20 years ago, and 20 years ago, a lot of people didn't talk about it. And so when I was diagnosed, first thing I thought of when I was a child, anybody that had cancer died.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
You know,
Yeah.
and so, and when they cut on you, it spread. Remember that story?
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
And so I was just, I was petrified. And then I began to realize that, you put your life in the hands of the professionals, the doctors and the surgeons and the oncologists, and they do what's best. And here I am 20 years later to prove that you can beat it. You really
Even if
can.
you have a really advanced.
I had 13 positive lymph nodes when I was diagnosed. And I'll never forget, I'd go for my test and they'd say, did you have your scans? And I'd say, yeah. And what'd they find? Nothing. You sure you had your scans? I'd say, yeah, I'm sure I had my
Are you
scans."
cheating?
And I go to another doctor, you had your scans? Yeah, I had my scans. And it wasn't until I started studying it. And I guess at that time, ignorance was bliss. Because I'd probably been a lot more afraid had I known the dangers that I was facing. But ignorance is bliss. And so here I am today, 20 years later, with the luck of the good Lord saying it wasn't your time.
Yeah, yeah. So you still have work to do, Martha. So
Oh, yeah. I always
Yeah,
say I'm
yeah.
not finished yet.
No, you're not. And so how did you get involved in this whole thing?
Well, long time ago. A long time ago.
Before we had gray hair.
Before we all had gray hair.
Back in the day?
Back in the day.
Yeah.
These three girls, Martha, Neppy, and Loretta.
Who have been on our show, you
Yes,
know. They've all,
yes,
yeah.
They approached me. They needed some help writing a book, and would I be their coach? And I said, okay, I'll be your coach. But I said, you have rules to follow. And the rest is history. They published, what, one or two?
Well, two now.
Two now.
Been through 2 publications.
And the name of the book is?
What doctors didn't tell us about double-breasted suits and single-breasted women.
And I have a copy of
Oh,
that
do
book.
you?
I love it. I love the title. I love it.
To be honest, I wanted double-breasted suits for single-breasted women, but the other 2 didn't, and so 2 out of 3 win. But, I just thought it was precious.
I thought yours was too. I like that one. It makes sense.
Well, you see, and it makes sense to me because I fought cancer with humor.
Yeah.
I found it made everybody around me more relaxed if I could say, yeah, that's a wig, this is my fake hair.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
at least it looks semi-good,
Yeah.
and just laugh about it.
You don't have bad hair days, right?
Oh, I've never had another bad hair day. I've got hair, it's a good day. I've
Yeah.
always said that. And I've never worried about coloring it because,
Yeah.
when you have none, color is minor.
Oh, yeah. Color is actually major.
For some, but not for me.
Yeah.
So there's been no divorce between us.
So-
And the older we get, the closer we get.
So the journey is like forever.
It is.
Yes,
you
it
know.
is.
Some connections just are so powerful for us.
Yeah.
And you have done some amazing work over the years in terms of just raising awareness and helping us, giving us some tangible things that we can hold on to. And I know we're going to talk about the symposium first, but we have this wonderful drawing here. Now, what is this?
Well, Loretta, one of the authors of the book, and Loretta was actually she lived 14 years in stage 4 of breast cancer. And she designed that, and we now have it trademarked.
And it's a pin. It's,
And we have
the pink pin.
This
which,
is the pink pin.
Right, yeah.
From the first batch that we had made. The rose itself represents love. And then the pink ribbon represents hope, courage, and faith. And together, it all represents life.
So that's become kind of the trademark or
That's
the
the
theme
trademark.
for
That's on all of
Acadiana, for
that's on all
Acadian.
of our stationery. That's on anything that goes out related to the Breast Health Symposium.
Okay.
And she's the one that designed that.
And I know I have a pin like that too. We wear them proudly
Oh,
during,
yes,
during
very
October.
much so, very much.
So the symposium's coming up.
Yes.
It's a big deal, as
Oh,
always.
Well, last year we had right around 900 people there. So I'd say it's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah.
I can remember years ago when we would have it at Hotel Acadiana, when it first started, and there were maybe 200.
And 200 was a lot.
And 200 was amazing. And then we outgrew Hotel Acadiana and went upstairs at the convention center, and now we're downstairs at the convention center. And we have a guest speaker this year, Dee Milliken, who is a survivor. She's a local survivor and an RN here in Lafayette. And she has a wonderful personality. I think everybody's going to enjoy her talk. And the title of her talk is Bulletproof Dee.
Okay.
Because she felt she was pretty much bulletproof
until
she was diagnosed with
she
cancer.
got diagnosed, and now she knows, huh?
Yeah,
that
and
she
then
is.
after her talk, we'll have a style show. 3 of the stores here in town provide the clothing, and 30 breast cancer survivors will model the clothes from Coldwater Creek, Cachet, and D Shoes on Gilboa,
Ooh,
Shoes
what
and More.
fun.
And if I could just say one thing, this is the first time that we'll ever charge for admission.
It's always been free up until
It's
now.
always been
but
free.
What, it's nominal, it's
Well,
what?
$5
Five.
is not a major, and
Yeah.
there'll be no exceptions. In other words, we're not gonna say anybody under 6 months is free. It's $5 a head.
But the money's going for a really good thing too.
Well, the money goes to help defray the expense of this. It's cost quite a bit to
Yeah.
rent the convention center. We provide finger foods, and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And, so it does cost quite a bit,
it's
but
good.
I'll tell you what, it's one of the most rewarding things I have ever been associated with. To see these survivors smile. I'll never forget, 2 years ago, one man came up to me and said, I don't know what y'all did, but my wife hasn't smiled like that in a year and a half. Thank
Yeah.
you. She's back to her old self. Thank
Yeah.
you. And it was because she just cut loose, and it was around other people and just was totally uninhibited.
Yeah.
And it's all about the support. That's what
Yeah.
it is. It's all about
And she had been with other breast cancer
Support
survivors
means
all day.
everything.
Yes.
Support means, so like you were saying before we started, say, last year before last, one of the women, what'd she do?
Well, we had 2 women that got, I'm not going to really say carried away, but I'll say entertained the crowd.
Okay.
One lady got down to the end. She was in a beautiful dress with the jewelry and looked great. And she took off her wig and threw it to her family. And then a few models later, here came another one. And she had a scarf wrapped around her hair and her head, and it was beautiful because she was losing her hair. She was on chemo at the time. And she got down to the end and she undid that scarf and started dancing with that scarf. And the whole place, the music kept going on and she kept dancing and the whole place was in laughter.
And see, and you gotta lighten up. You
Oh.
got to lighten up. You gotta-
Yeah. And I mean,
That's what it's about.
yeah,
It is.
it was
Keeps us
wonderful.
healthy.
So the symposium this year is when?
October the 10th. It's a Wednesday night. The doors open at 5. The program starts at 6 and you'll be gone by 8 because everybody has to go to work the
Okay,
next day.
okay, so it's not really a huge time commitment, but really, if you're interested, there's a lot of information, good, important information.
A lot of doctors, a lot of, other people that cater to breast cancer
Mm-hmm.
will have booths set up and will have information for you. And it's a wonderful chance to just get all the latest information that you can find.
I don't care what anybody says, knowledge is power. And the
Oh,
more you know, the better
yeah.
you can make an informed decision and do what's going to be
That's
best
it,
for
that's it.
you. So, and it's not just for anybody that's a survivor or newly diagnosed, it really is. This is a community-wide event.
We have, you'll have, a lot of times we'll have one survivor and 15 people from the family there to learn all about it too.
Because it
Because
is.
it could affect any one of those 15.
Well, the fact that someone you love has it affects you. There's just no two ways about it.
Oh, yeah, it
you
really
know?
does.
And speaking of being affected, I'm going to kind of segue into Stella here because you have been strongly and powerfully affected by your friends that are breast cancer survivors that
Very,
have
very much
passed
so,
on.
Because I was so close to these girls. When we lost Loretta several years
Mm-hmm.
ago, I also lost a couple of other friends with breast cancer. And I didn't know how to handle my grieving. And because I'm a quilter,
You made it.
and I love Crazy Quilt.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up this crazy quilt, and we're gonna give Danny a minute to get in here. It's gonna go this way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Danny's gonna come in, he's gonna give us some shots of this, and you're gonna tell us about this. So this was how you dealt with your grief,
This is how I dealt with my grief in color.
and this is called a crazy quilt.
This is called a crazy quilt. I did each block separately. When I put it together, it just all came together. And each block has a story within itself. And the piece reads counterclockwise. Where
So we're
the
gonna start
pink
here.
ribbon is, I'd like to share it, if you don't
Please,
mind.
please.
The top right, you're going about your business of life, and one day you're diagnosed breast cancer. You and your mind are in a white cloud, your angel appears, and you begin to see pink ribbons. Now, on the top left, moving to the top left, then you begin to see yourself in a life and death situation. Your tree of life is shaken. You prepare yourself as best you possibly can for what's coming next. You are cut on, possibly irradiated, even chemoed. And yes, there's talk of cancer caps, and there's talk of wigs and hats. And you opt for the hats. And through your darkness, the sun continues to shine.
And you have the sun here.
Yes. Okay, on the bottom left, we go back to the pink ribbon and what it symbolizes, because it becomes a big part of your life. It becomes the gold standard to which you live by. Yes, even all the chemo, the surgery, the treatments, you learn what hope really means, and you also learn the word survivor becomes so crucial and important. And it's this work in your thoughts and your vocabulary that you weave into your life with the help of family and friends and other survivors. And of course, you start feeling your angels again.
And
You
your butterfly.
You really feel angels in whatever form around you in whatever form, in the dream and the hope for a new life, because you begin to brace yourself knowing that this new life will never be the same. You're open to change. You're validated at each and every day by the flowers that bloom, the trees that grow, the birds that sing, and the butterflies that flit around. And you know now that we're all connected with this heart. And there's a heart there. And on the bottom right, as you continue your journey of acceptance, your cleavage returns, somewhat changed, and you finally become the $1 million baby you are destined to be. And $1 million baby, know that the fleur-de-lis button down in the corner represents that of the Trinity to which our journey here on earth is for all of us. And the white line down the center represents the thread of life. It has no beginning and has no end. And the navy blue band with the white dots represents the men out there that is not as vocal as us women.
Oh, Stella, this is a wonderful, wonderful quilt, a wonderful piece of work, and the
Thank you.
story
Thank you.
is so moving and so meaningful.
So that's what that piece means to me.
So did this come to you in a dream, or how did this evolve for you?
It was, I'm a doer.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I'm a doer. I have to do something, and I have to keep my fingers busy and my mind busy. And I started putting together blocks, and I'm also an embellisher.
Okay.
I love to embellish. And, with all the beads and all the extras on there. And of course, I kept the pink theme going throughout the piece. And of course, I think my favorite part of it is the cleavage.
It comes back.
It comes back, but in a different form. But girls, there's hope, because you do get your cleavage back.
And this is really a message of hope and optimism, isn't it? Isn't it?
Yes.
So, does this displayed anywhere? Is there a place we can go to see this? Will it be maybe?
Not yet.
Okay, well, I think that's something, last week we did a quilting show and realized that we needed a home for a quilt. I think we need to have a
Yes.
way to show this too,
Yes.
because it's very powerful.
Yeah.
And you're right, that when you break down the stages and the process of the shakeup and the grief and the interventions and the acceptance and the hope and the new me, new
That's
you
right.
kind of
That's right.
thing, that is a journey.
That is.
But this isn't your only creative endeavor. You've also kind of got into the jewelry designing business
I
through this
have.
experience.
Yes, I have. You want me to tell you a
I
little bit about it?
do.
Well, first of all, I'm wearing the piece, the pendant, and I'm also wearing the earrings. But you'll see that and on this board here.
We're gonna get a shot of the board, but you can start talking about it. So you designed this?
Yes, I
Okay.
designed this
Okay.
for breast cancer survivors
Okay,
to help them financially.
okay.
And as you can see, the shape of the piece is in the form of a breast. And
It was
center-
subtle enough that I almost missed it had you not told me. I just want you to know.
Yeah.
And the center part is the nipple.
Okay.
So that's, that was my
Vision?
vision.
So that can be any stone, any birthstone, you
Any
can put
stone,
anything you want in
even
there.
diamonds,
Even,
ladies,
even diamonds, girls. They are your best friend. So
That's right.
this is something that we can get, there's a
Linnell,
good shot of that. Yeah,
yes,
there we go.
Linnell and Richard Melanson in Abbeville,
Yeah.
they're taking care of it for me.
Okay, so they're making them, and
Yes,
they've been on our
yes.
show. They do absolutely exquisite,
Oh my
exquisite
God,
work.
They are just fabulous
They are,
people.
they are.
And talented, and when I brought it to them, they accepted it with open arms, with a little bit of tweaking here and there, because, I had it in my head,
Yeah.
and I had it drawn, and she says, you need to take some clay back, and she says, and make a piece, and I looked at her kind of, well, I don't know if I want to do that, but anyway, I did, and she ended up.
It's great. So, and
it's sterling.
so you don't have to be a survivor to buy one. You can, if you just happen to,
course.
if you want to be a supporter, you can buy one.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
some of the proceeds go to support women or men with breast cancer. Am I right
Yes,
about that?
Yes, yes.
So, what kind of support are we doing? Are we doing like financial
Financial
grants?
support,
Okay.
yeah.
And who handles that? Is that through,
That's, from what I understand, I think they have,
because they have a group over there in Abbeville
Yes,
that's
they
doing a
have.
lot of work for
Yes.
breast cancer.
Yes.
And they have like T-shirts and all kinds of stuff that they're doing.
yeah.
So there seems to be a rather large community then of people that have all come together.
It's all extensions of the heart.
Yeah,
It comes down to that,
it really, really does.
Yeah.
So when we have the symposium, which is kind of, I guess, the showcase event, it's just one of many of the services that we have available in our community. What else is available for people?
Well, we have two breast cancer support groups here in Lafayette. One meets at Miles Perret Center, and the other one meets at
Somewhere.
the breast. I don't know that well with Linda Rose on
Okay.
Amelia Boulevard, but I can't remember the name of the place. I'm so sorry, Linda.
That's okay.
But they have two of them here in town, and they have a young survivors group because in the last few years we've had several women that are very young that were just shocked to find out that they had breast cancer. I was 45 when I was diagnosed.
Well, that was
And I
pretty
have to
young
say-
too, wasn't
Well,
it?
that was, but I have to say, I have a younger sister who was 6 months shy of 45 when she was diagnosed. So that seems to be the number in my family.
Okay.
And they're doing more and more research on it, but like my daddy's side of the family had a lot of breast cancer.
So we
Yeah.
do think there's that family
They're
connection.
starting to find more of a trend, and
Okay.
they can test you for BRCA1 and BRCA2
Right.
and see if you're gonna develop it and things like that. We have those two support groups here in town. Of course, we have the Coleman Race for the Cure. That also is held here in Lafayette every year. And then American Cancer Society has Dust to Dawn, which is all kinds of cancers. So the awareness is out there now, which is a wonderful thing. Like I said, when I was young, cancer was kept in a closet.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, let's let everybody know if you want to. There's some women that don't want anybody to know they've had it, and that is certainly their prerogative. But most women want to go out there and find out what are the different kinds of reconstruction. Does it hurt? How long does it take to recuperate? Did anybody use this doctor? What doctor did you use?
Yeah.
You know, what method did you use? And one thing I found that in these support groups, people are very open to say who they went to, whether, you know, they liked them, they liked this method. If they had to do it again, they'd do another method, just things like that.
Stuff
And
you
that's
need to
questions that
know.
a lot of people, especially when you first diagnose, you're just in a fall.
Now,
you
how
know.
did you get diagnosed? I mean, was it just a routine mammogram? 'Cause
I had a mammogram every year for 11 years and nothing showed up. When they started looking at the old mammograms, you could see the tissue coming together over the 11 years. And 8 months after my last mammogram, I had a lump 2.5 by 2.8 centimeters.
that
It
must
was
have
very
been,
aggressive.
wow.
And I found it in a self-breast exam one night getting ready to go to a party.
Did you?
Needless to say, I was not in a very good mood
I was
that
just
night.
thinking that was probably not your best party. It's like,
No, it
you know,
wasn't,
but
you know.
put the
But
smile.
I called in, I got in right away, and I went in for a mammogram, and my OBGYN got me in right away for a biopsy, and lo and behold, I was, you know, I was on the table not long after.
So that must have been a shock too. You don't even have time to kind of get used to the
Well,
idea. It's like, you know.
I kind of got used to it. It was my poor parents who were in their 70s that had a really hard time with it, you know. There was a lot that I tried to hide from them at different times throughout the diagnosis. I was able to hide some of it. But, you know, when you have a very serious case and they tell you you might go to MD Anderson, you can only hide so much. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you got to tell them. But they, you know, they learn to adjust, you know.
Well, you kinda-
have to.
you
That's
kinda-
one other choice you have.
Yeah,
in
you
life, know.
kind of have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
So before you got involved with the book and made such wonderful friends, were you that aware of breast cancer? Was it really on your radar?
Not at all, not at all.
So how,
It's just something that happened. It was back in the 90s, I think
Yeah.
it was. And, of course, I mean, there was talk of breast cancer, but it wasn't readily available. The information wasn't readily available. It was available to the person that was going through it, but for everybody else, you know, but then, thanks to these ladies here in this age group, they put it out there.
Well, and you know, when the three of us went to the bookstores here in town, we found a lot of medical books that talked about the different chemos and the effects that it was going to have on your body, but no one talked about the emotional side.
yeah.
That it was okay to cry, you know, cry and then figure out how you're going to fight it. But go ahead and cry if you want to cry. It's okay, you know, and there was none of that. And so that's what the kind of things we put in the book, that, you know, cry and then, you know, gather your wits and keep going.
So
But,
is
you know,
it still available? Can we still get
I
it?
have it under my bed.
So if you want a copy, call Martha. Call Martha. It is a wonderful book. I got a
Yeah.
copy of it several years ago, I think when it first came out, because
Yeah.
it was presented at the symposium
Yeah,
that year.
yeah. At one time,
Yeah.
the first, like, so many hundred people that went
Yeah.
there got a free copy, yeah.
So, and it is, and you have to step back, and you have to kind of deal with the emotional
Yeah,
parts
oh
of
yeah,
it, you
because
know?
that's a very important part of any disease,
It is.
whether it's cancer or
Anything,
you know,
anything.
anything at all, any kind of loss, whether it's a loss of a body part or the loss of a friend, a loss has to be dealt with
Yeah.
appropriately.
So you gotta fill that emptiness
Yeah.
some kind of way. And has your life changed because of your experiences with your
Oh my
friends?
God, yes. You know, I have so many friends and so many people that I'm involved with. You know, every chance I get, my life is so much richer because of breast cancer. I hate to
Yeah.
say it
Yeah.
that way,
Well-
but that's basically what it is.
Well, I think that old expression of everything bad comes something good is
Yes,
another example
that's-
here.
that's
You know,
right.
I think,
You know, no matter what the tragedy is at the time, that you're just not sure you can overcome that hump, there's gonna be something good.
And you know the best part about it?
what?
You know, I hope and pray I never come down with breast cancer, but I know who to call
Oh,
if
yeah.
I need.
Yep.
And you know who's gonna be there bringing
And
you
I
meals?
know- Exactly.
Bringing you meals
I
and
mean,
ice
if
cream.
Yes.
So that's what you do, huh? It's
Oh,
about
yeah,
the meals
eat
and
your
ice
way through it. That's the only chocolate and ice cream, eat your way through it.
whatever will work.
Yes, whatever works.
But it's really, a lot of it is, and I can see this with the two of you, a lot of it really is about support,
Oh, yeah, and
having a
friendship.
sense of humor.
Well, we hadn't talked to each other in what, maybe a year?
Probably, yeah, a few months.
Because, you know, life happens.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this.
She's busy, I'm busy. I gave her a call last week. It's like we were together last week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what friendship is.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's.
That's a true friendship.
Yeah.
That is
And
true
I'm like,
friendship.
oh, I've been meaning to call you. You know what? I've done this and I want you to, I want you to come and because it, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And here we are, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, and we're out of time. I want to say that is a testimony of friendship, and sometimes that's the gift of cancer. You know, it can be.
That's right.
You know, you just have to find that silver lining. Thank you both.
Thank you for having
Thank you
us.
so
Thank
much
you.
for
Hope to
having
see
us.
you all at the symposium.
Oh,
The quilt
yes.
is beautiful.
Yes,
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching The Extra Mile.